Claude Sonnet 5 is out, Fable 5 is back, and I thought I would do something a little bit different for this video compared to my usual model tests. Now, if you're new to this channel, this is a channel all about using AI for creative writing, and so we typically test a lot of the new frontier models on that subject. But honestly, I was getting a little tired of some of them, so I thought I would do something different where we're actually going to pit Sonnet 5 against Fable 5, and I'm also going to throw in another model that I have personally been using quite a bit and see how it compares to both of them. So rather than just run all of my typical prompts that I do for this, for each of these tests that I run, I decided to actually run one of my automations. And to just show you a little bit of what this looks like, we have in my new tool, we've got this book builder thing, and I also used N8N automations in N8N to do the same thing in the past. But now I have these just baked into my own tool, so I'm using this. I have this automation called the chapter generator, and basically it goes through each of these steps to plan and execute the chapter, and then do things like chronology checks and style checks to try and do a bunch of rewrites and stuff. But there's a very key step in this process, which is the first draft, which is actually this step right here. And this is the one that I changed and reran the same chapter 3 times using 3 different models. We've got Sonnet 5, Fable 5, and one other. And usually this step is the one that makes the most difference. We do have things like a style check and a chronology check that happen after that, and then there's a rewrite that happens, but that changes very little in terms of the overall prose. And what it does do, it usually is an improvement. So really, I thought it would be cool to kind of test these models in action rather than doing just mild vanilla prompting, right? So this is the document that we got, and let me just switch to this view here. So we'll start with Claude Fable. So this is a cozy sci-fi story. I did a video recently about cozy sci-fi, which you can check out, but it's one of my favorite kind of niche genres. Reminds me of the old days watching, the Star Trek Enterprise with its nice, comfy, carpeted floors and everything. Brings me back to that age. And so that's what we wrote here. And this is the version I got with Claude Fable. And then I've also got 2 more. So let's read a little bit of this and see what we can dig up and see, like, how good is the prompting on this? How good is not the prompting, how good is the prose for this? And what are some of the big red flags that we see overall? So we got the salvage brief said Waystation Kepler 9 was dead. It's not a bad opening sentence per se. It could maybe be better. Daria Osei stood at the transit shuttle's porthole, her MCA issue tablet held flat against her chest, and read the summary paragraph for the 5th time. Okay, now we're starting to get into the action. The station filling the viewpoint refused to cooperate with the paperwork. All right, I'm going to highlight that in yellow. It's not really an AIism per se, but it is sort of adding a human element to an inanimate object, which is something AI does a lot. The idea of cooperating with paperwork, a viewport cooperating with paperwork. Compromised hull integrity, 0 active habitation, minimal atmospheric function. That's a rule of, that's where AI uses 3s a lot. I'm gonna also highlight that. The words had the confident weight of a document drafted by someone who hadn't left a desk in Geneva since the turn of the century, and each one of them was currently being contradicted by 200 meters of torus and spine structure hanging in Mars orbit with its running lights cheerfully blazing. Okay, that is a horrible sentence. I'm going to give that like an orange. That is like way too much of an run-on sentence, way too fluffy. You could say that in like a third of the time. True derelicts drifted. They went dark, got cold, rolled slowly through the vacuum. That's another rule of 3 right there that it's using. Oops. Through the vacuum until they looked like discarded soda cans. This station held a clean, active attitude relative to the planet below. Its faded panels streaked gray beige, even worse on the inner ring where MCA regulations strictly dictated a uniform coat of non-reflected white. Someone had slapped a massive blotch of what appeared to be home use orange paint. Okay. And this is, again, another kind of run-on sentence that really could be better overall. Daria zoomed the tablet's camera. It was orange, all right. Saturated, deliberate, applied with a roller orange. It's another rule of 3. It's one of the ones that AI likes to use a lot. It looked like a construction warning that had mated with a sunset. Oh, another applying of like human terms with inanimate objects. And I'm just to be fair, I am being very nitpicky here, but these are all things that you see pretty frequently with AI, and I would probably do some editing on it as we're going through. I will say Claude models, they're historically have all been very good for writing. I feel like they may have gotten worse for writing recently, but if not worse, then some of the other models are just catching up. But they are known for having some of the most AI-isms, I think. So that's something to keep in mind there. All right, her fingers tapped against her thigh, 153624, before she caught herself and forced her hand flat. Stress testing your own muscle memory wasn't on the assessment checklist. Docking in 90 seconds, the pilot called back, his voice thin over the cabin comm. See this right here? I would just call an unnecessary addition. And you see AI add these a lot. It just adds fluff, more so than we really need. You want me to hold at the collar in case the air inside is mostly vacuum and bad vibes? The brief says minimal atmospheric function, Daria said, but the station is broadcasting a maintenance beacon, a navigational correction pack, and, unless my tablet is hallucinating, a low band atmospheric telemetry pulse. All right, so we got a rule of 3 in there, and 2 M dashes. We're gonna give that a solid red. Yeah, well, the brief also said this thing wasn't transmitting, the pilot muttered, and it's been pinging us course corrections since we crossed the orbital band. Extremely polite corrections, too. And it's still throwing weather packets. Old format, but perfectly readable. You sure there's nobody home? According to Mars admin, it's an empty metal shell, Daria said, slinging her canvas utility bag over her shoulder. The physical inspection rarely takes more than 6 hours when the brief is accurate. I'll sort out the paperwork discrepancy, sign off at the handoff, and we'll be back in orbit by 1800. All right. So the dialogue, I think, is a little bit better than the prose we've gotten so far. But yeah, like it's okay. And I do want to be fair and say that, like, if this were the kind of results we were getting a year ago, we would be absolutely in love. But I think, we can often do a little bit better. And certainly for the price of a mega model like Claude Fable, this seems a little too much for me. So let's go and check the next one. All right, so now we have Claude Sonnet 5. This is the same chapter, going through the same automation process, but in this case, it used Sonnet 5 instead. So let's start reading this and see what we think. I can already tell it's taking a while before we get to the actual dialogue here, so I am not hopeful of these first few paragraphs. Daria Ose stepped through the docking collar with her tablet raised like a shield and her stylus poised, moving with the brisk, forward-leaning sprint of a woman who had survived 40 regulatory inspections and intended to be back aboard the return transport before the crew finished their lukewarm protein rash. All right, so one thing I didn't mention about Fable is that it actually started before what I would have proposed as the start of the scene. And this one is actually starting when she gets onto the space station, which I think is more what I would have wanted. So props to Sonnet there. Step through the docking. Okay, so forward-leaning sprint of a woman. See, I see this sort of cadence to the sentences all the time. We're going to give that like an orange. And it definitely gets pretty fluffy here towards the end of that sentence. She was dressed in the severe mustard and gray uniform of a senior Martian colonial authority assessor. Her hair scraped back into a bun so tight it felt like a minor surgical procedure. Over her shoulder hung a scuffed regulation-issue canvas transit bag, heavy enough to bruise her hip with every step. Not sure. I think that's like an unnecessary metaphor right there. Or not really a metaphor, but like it's over-exaggerating for sure. According to her screen, Deed 88 Delta was blinking its provisional acceptance in soft, mocking green text. She had exactly 72 hours to complete her physical walkthrough and 21 days before the provisional transfer deed defaulted, permanently abandoning this 3-decade-old bucket of bolts to the MCA's salvage yard. All right, so kind of a little bit of a run-on sentence there, and definitely lots of description and fluff in this paragraph. I would definitely go through and trim this. But I don't see as many of the issues, funny enough, as I was seeing with Fable. So that's interesting. Daria expected to need one afternoon, a working comm line to Director Ouyang, and none of the local hospitality. The docking collar behind her issued a low mechanical rattle, followed by a wet hydraulic shriek that vibrated through the soles of her boots. So this is okay, but I feel like we could get more into her head here. Like, this feels like it's just telling us what happened and not really like experiencing it, you know? She stopped. One hand went to the mismatched door frame, fingers registering the cold, pitted alloy. That feels like an AI-ism right there. Of a plate that had definitely been scavenged from an outdated freighter. The corridor ahead was a patchwork of 5 different panel materials ranging from budget gray laminate to, all right, this is like too many words here to describe, like budget gray. What is budget gray compared to just gray? like to raw cargo-based steel. It was old, drafty, and structurally offensive, but it was clean. There's a rule of 3 happening right there. Say rule of 3, but just like it's AI just uses 3s a lot. Swept even. And underneath the stale smell of recycled air and the old engine grease, there was something else. A sharp metallic prickle of ozone mixed with a damp earthy scent that had absolutely no business existing on a commissioned outpost 30 years past its expiration date. I feel like the metallic prickle of ozone, that feels a little bit like an AI-ism right there. Damp earthy scent. Yeah, I'm not too happy with that verbiage. The airlock behind her let out another long complaining groan. It sounded less like a functioning seal and more like a very large animal complaining about its knees. That would be Gerald, said a voice, dry and entirely too close. All right, this is probably my first favorite sentence here. So I'm gonna make that green. Like maybe we don't need the dry here, but entirely too close. That feels like we're now in the main character's head with comments like that. And I hope you can see like why that would be. Like you can kind of like feel her emotion, her views on this person being close. Which makes sense because the next sentence is Daria spun, clutching her tablet to her collarbone, her heart doing a sharp, undignified thump against her ribs. The airlock door sat there, green indicator glowing with placid innocence. Nothing moved. Right, placid innocence. Definitely an AIism there. Gerald, Daria, you named an airlock. Okay, so first of all, we haven't actually seen who the source of the voice is. So that's maybe a logic issue. He came with the manufacturer's warranty, but we kept the name, the voice replied. All right, so you get a sense of it, and I definitely haven't marked this up as badly as I did with Fable 5, funny enough. I think we were getting more AI-isms and more wordy text with Fable 5, but it's not really much better. There's really only one sentence here that I genuinely liked, and the rest would need to be edited up to be at a higher standard. So let's look at the final model that I wanted to look at for this purpose and see how well it does. All right, the other model that we're testing is Aion 2. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it. I actually I haven't read this as I'm filming this, so I don't know if this is going to be any better, but I have seen some pretty good results out of Aion 2. Because it is one of those models that has been designed specifically for creative writing, as well as other like role-playing game type stuff. So let's go ahead and walk through some of this. So we get some dialogue all the way here. That's nice. So we don't have as much beginning description, which is usually good for a scene. We don't want to overwhelm people with description. Still a fair amount of description though, so let's read through it. The docking tube cycled and Daria Osei stepped through the hatch with her tablet held in front of her chest like a breastplate. All right, so already we're getting some emotion here, like we're feeling her thoughts. Now, held in front of her chest like a breastplate does feel a little bit like an AIism. It's always using like this, like that, you know, kind of metaphors here and there, but it's appropriate in this sense. So I'm just gonna not color that anything because I think the AIism and the way it's used kind of cancel each other out. She had expected the standard hiss of pressure equalization and the click of magnetic seals disengaging. Instead, the heavy pressure door ground shut behind her with a shuddering jolt and a hydraulic squeal that made her flinch so hard she nearly dropped the tablet. I feel like this could have been described a little bit more in her head. It's still sort of just telling us what happened. Like it closed with a hydraulic squeal and made her flinch. We could maybe say that a little better, but anyway, let's keep going. She muttered a short curse and clapped a hand over her ear. We are getting more emotion out of her in general and more of a sense of personality than we were getting with either Claude, so I like that. It was the kind of sound that usually preceded a very expensive insurance claim. Another excellent detail that I like there. A shimmer of amber light materialized at eye level. Daria jerked backward, her shoulder blades hitting the sealed door, and found herself staring at a holographic wireframe figure. So now we actually, unlike that version that we saw from Sonnet 5, we're actually seeing a lot more of this character before she even talks. The other one, this character was talking, we hadn't been getting any kind of glimpse of who was talking, even after our main character responded to her. So that's good. The figure had the proportions of a grandmother who was actively knitting. Her projected hands moved in a steady rhythm, a half-finished piece of lace trailing from the needles. Trailing, maybe, or half-finished. There are a couple of mild AIisms in there. I'll just highlight this in yellow. Welcome to Waystation Kepler 9. It missed quotes, open quotes there. The figure said, her voice calm and unhurried. I do apologize for Gerald. He gets excited when we have visitors. Another missed thing there. Daria lowered her hand, her finger subconsciously tapping the 153624 firing order of a straight 6-engine against her thigh. It was a nervous habit she'd never quite managed to kill. So that was something pulled from the world building and character details, because the other one mentioned that as well. Gerald? The airlock. The hologram gestured over her shoulder with a translucent knitting needle. He's been doing that for years. I keep telling him it's unprofessional, but he's convinced it adds character. He's very set in his ways for a Series 4 pressure seal. All right, great dialogue here in general. Very, very good personality with this hologram. Daria stared at her, then at the door, which looked like it had been held together by duct tape and luck, then back at the hologram. I'm Agnes, the figure continued. Atmospheric and navigational guidance and evaluation system, but nobody calls me that. Too many syllables for a Tuesday. I've prepared your quarters in the residential ring. If you'll follow the path, I'll show you the way. More great dialogue there. Feels very distinct, like the two characters feel like different characters. I haven't introduced myself, Daria said, squaring her shoulders and regaining her professional armor. She held up her tablet and the MCA seal glowed on the screen. I'm a senior assessor, Daria Osei, Martian Colony Authority, Decommissioning Division. I'm here to conduct a preliminary salvage assessment of this facility. I know. Agnes's smile was pleasant, if a bit patronizing. I've had your arrival on the calendar. The transport schedules are public record, you know. I'd like to be prepared for company. Daria's jaw tightened. The fact that a station AI on a supposedly derelict outpost had been tracking her itinerary was a data security nightmare. She'd have to file under bureaucratic annoyance. All right, so you saw that, like, I kind of actually stopped marking things up and kind of getting into the flow of the writing. So I actually think this was by far better. And the nice thing about Aion 2.0 is that it is a fraction of the cost of even Sonnet 5. And so this is actually probably, until we get something better, this is probably the model I'll be doing for at least that writing step in that automation. The other Claude models, they're still very smart models. They're very good for things like planning out the scenes or planning your outline or whatnot. But for the actual first draft, Aion 2 has now become one of my go-to favorites, and I just think it's really good. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this experiment. Did you prefer the writing from Fable or Sonnet or Aion? And just let me know. As always, if you've made it this far through the video, you might be a good fit for the Story Hacker community. So go check that out down below if you're interested, and I will see you in the next video.